Okay, welcome everybody to the session about Valamis, the core of your organization's learning ecosystem. This session is streamed from Finland, so greetings from Finland. I would show you the nice scenery and the first snow that we have here, but it happens to be 8 o'clock in the evening and it's all pitch black. So hopefully that'll do. My name is Janne Hietala. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer at Valamis. We founded Valamis in Finland originally, but we're now operating in 8 different countries, over 10 different offices globally. It's been a really interesting journey over the last 10 years. I'm going to talk about the recent activities regarding the Valamis platform, explore the end-to-end learning platform, which combines things like learning experience system and learning management system and learning analytics with learning record store. And then you get to see the platform as well and some of the highlights that we've done recently. So hopefully this session will be interesting for you. Feel free to post the questions. My colleague Katie will paste the questions to me, so I'll be able to address some of them during the presentation, but I'll be jumping back into the DDX platform after the session to answer any unanswered questions. So maybe a little bit about me and the sort of the origin story of the Valamis. Around 2010, we started really to think about what is the future of learning platforms like. So that was already over 10 years ago. And at the time, we just had a very singular idea that we want to be working with the best organizations in the world. Really the best organizations in their own field, really work closely with them to understand what are the challenges around learning altogether, what are the challenges around high-performing teams, organizational design, and from there we'll be able to build essentially a technology product. And underneath we are an engineering company, we're a tech company, but we're a very humane tech company. So from there, my own dream company that I set as a sort of target that I would really like to work with was NASA. So I was excited about space and technology as an engineering background. That what's not to like with that. And there were a lot of people saying that that's really unrealistic in the beginning of 2010, but we actually started a long-term collaboration with them, specifically Dr. Charles Camarda, an astronaut. We got to work in the EPIC Challenge program to understand how their innovation processes are run and support that with learning technology. And we got to know a lot around analytics and research-based mindset, which is then have been incredibly helpful for us when we design the product and improve the product over time. I spent also a couple of years in London, did my executive MBA at London Business School, which was a great experience to get back into classroom as well. And obviously, over the last year, we actually moved back with my family here in Finland, and then the COVID started. So a lot of things have happened during this time, and we've adapted into this new environment where a lot of things have to be done digital first, including events like this. So we've done a lot of recent activities around the platform. How do we enable full digital learning experience within organizations to support different kinds of learning programs, and what is the technology needed to be able to do that? So I'll share with you a couple ideas around that and what we've been doing really in the Valamis platform over the last year or so. One of the key elements that what is Valamis platform, it is really an end-to-end platform combining a lot of different categories of products into one platform. So you're probably familiar with learning experience platforms in general, your learning management systems that everybody loves to hate. You might be familiar with specifically learning record stores or learning analytics platforms. And then these specific areas around delivering microlearning, technology to support delivery of microlearning, content creation, curation, authoring, you would have different kinds of systems there, and program delivery. So what we've done over the last 10 years is essentially combine all of these features and functionalities into a single platform where you can have a combination of that bottom-up learning, personalized learning, engagement, content aggregation like you would expect from modern learning experience platform, but you also have a capability to run training events or courses and manage the learning as part of your organizational structure and learning organization structure that you would expect from learning management system. So this is what we've been developing essentially, which is the end-to-end experience. And I'm going to talk about more why that is actually really, really important. But this is not the first time this is happening. So way in the past, something similar happened with the HCM platforms, even LMS platforms, which combine different areas of learning functionality. And more broadly in other areas, like if you take CRM, for example, there used to be a bunch of different individual tools. And over time, they were merged and built into a single platform. And you'll find Salesforces and HubSpots and similar tools these days. So we've been thinking in a very much that way over the years already, that people need to have a consistent learning experience. The employees need to have a consistency. They need to have access to all different learning resources within the organization. And you need to have both elements of that top-down, still sort of boring and not necessarily engaging compliance training, but it needs to be blended well with same kind of experience you would get from a learning experience platform, modern digital learning experience. And you might need at the different stages more programmatic learning like courses and MOOC courses. And in certain learning situations, you need things like microlearning and small snippets of learning. So this is what the platform is really built to support, but it's kind of challenging for us that we talk about learning experience platform quite a lot, because you have these categories in the market that are you a learning management system or learning experience platform. There isn't really yet a category for end-to-end learning platform. But it's getting there. So there was a recent article by Josh Berzin actually describing this and talking about us, which was great to hear. And he really got the idea of having actually the content distribution, aggregation, the recommendations, the LMS capabilities, and the analytics all in the same platform. If you think that how in other situations where these are different systems, your data is distributed over multiple different systems without a shared standard, you will not be able to have the complete picture of data and analysis if you have these in different kinds of systems. So really it comes down to the question of data consistency and to be able to leverage that data. If we're able to know how the content is instrumented and we're able to control how the content is instrumented, how it's getting delivered and consumed, and what is the engagement like, what is the experience like, how that ties into certain learning journeys or part of the journey in the organizational structure, moving into another job role within the organization, another team to collaborate, and then ultimately understanding that what is the business impact of that learning through the data that we've accumulated by bringing in external data there, for example. So that's in a very high level what an end-to-end platform is. If we take a little bit more functional view, and we'll take a look at the platform itself, but we essentially start from curating external content and taking the best libraries available, best catalogs available of content, and then pushing those through different kinds of tools within the platform. We have recommendations, we have chatbot to embed into digital workplace platforms like Slack and Teams. We have intelligent search, curation capabilities. We have our own authoring and curation tools where you can actually blend in your organization's own content with that external content and build seamless learning paths or courses, or just manage your virtual events and tie in digital learning content as part of those. But we're not forgetting about the management side and the HR side. So you need to be aware of the organization structure, whether that's the operational organization or the learning organization, how in larger organizations, especially, you need to manage a distributed learning organization and distributed learning. So the organization can give responsibilities at different parts of your global organization to manage their own learning, design their own learning programs and deliver their own learning programs that can be regional, local, or functional. It doesn't really matter. There needs to be a lot of flexibility there. And then from productivity perspective, we're very interested in not simply at the engagement, but productivity of learning. So if you take the time that you have as an employee, are you able to use that time effectively? That's going to help you to perform on the job or perform to advance your skills or upskill yourself within the time that you have. So a lot of the aggregation platforms themselves just drive engagement, but we're asking the question, is that engagement productive? Is it efficient? Are you able to get the relevant information and knowledge and the behavior at with the time that you have available? So that's what we're very passionate about. And of course, the learning is delivered throughout different kind of digital workplace systems. And the data we're able to pull from HR systems, for example, is really crucial and critical to be able to do really good recommendations, for example. Everything's overlaid then with our data architecture, which is built upon Experience API. If you're not familiar with XAPI, it just means that we're able to have a standardized way to describe the content, how the content is delivered, how it's experienced, and then take in the organizational information about where the learner is as part of the learning journey, and provide a consistent analysis on that and consistent data on that in a standardized way. That's really crucial. So XAPI helps us a lot with that. There's a lot of buzz about XAPI, but for us, it's really a tool to create that consistent, high quality data within the platform. So moving on a little bit in the couple highlights from the platform, and I will walk through the actual functionality a little bit. We've been working on channels-based recommendations, and actually combining social learning into these specific channels. So this is more your LXP view into specific topics that are hot topics. What we do within recommendations, we can actually take different types of learning resources. They can be courses or micro-learning lessons, or they can be virtual events. They can be pulled from the LMS. They can be aggregated from external systems. We don't discriminate based on what kind of learning resources they are. And there are different tools to manage these different type of learning resources. But it's the main thing to personalize these to the learner, depending on where they are in the organization. And the data we're using to do that is often the data we're getting from HR. So that learning organization data, learning journey data, or skills data at the same time. So that's really important. So just to mention this as well, so this is more in-depth channel-based recommendations that can be as well skills-based. If you're really into that skills framework, we can bring a skills framework into the platform and then tie the learning content into these skills. So we can do skills discovery and skills analytics that I'm able to show a little bit later from the platform. And of course, this profile information is crucial. So structuring the data well, the master data about the learner, where are they in this organization, where they are going, what are their ambitions, skills, and interests. This is all important information that will drive better recommendation. And it will also drive the analytics when we drill down into certain areas, that which teams are right now learning about specific topics. What are the skills of those teams? Are they part of larger organizations? And how am I able to visualize if there are skills gaps, or visualize that what is the kind of skills velocity that I'm looking from these different teams. So often skills in practice are very relative to the organization and who am I working within the organization. But what's really interesting data that we're seeing is the skills velocity data, that how fast different skills in different categories are developing at different parts of organization. I'll show you and talk to you more about that a little bit later. So obviously in this environment where we use on a daily basis things like Slack and Teams, and we rely on them heavily to collaborate, to work with our colleagues, to deliver the operations and business results, having well-integrated learning into Teams, into Slack is really crucial. And we've taken that actually into another level. So we were one of the first ones to publish a chatbot, Slack-based chatbot assistant, intelligent assistant, where you will get recommendations from the learning platform seamlessly while you're in Slack. So we expanded the use case in Teams as well, but we're able to actually pull content that's being shared and aggregated in Teams into the learning platform. So we're getting these digital resources that are valuable for digital learning experience as well, that can be recommended as well. So here we have, for example, pulling into the search results resources that were shared in the specific channels within Teams. So this is quite cool that we've been working on. And obviously I mentioned our chatbot, it's now available as well in Teams. So you're able to get these personalized recommendations without going into the learning platform separately or logging into this learning platform. You're just able to interact through natural language conversational interface with the chatbot, and it knows your background, all that HR data, all that learning journey data, and your experiences within the platform. And it's basing those recommendations that you'll be getting from the chatbot on all of that data available in the learning platform. At the same time, we're able to integrate events in both directions. So now Teams and tools like Zoom are really used to schedule virtual training events or discussions. So we'll be able to schedule an event in Teams and actually show it in the Valamis platform in the event management and tie in digital learning resources into that as well. We've been working to improve our mobile apps. So obviously mobile apps are nothing new, but we do have a really high quality mobile app where you can do offline learning and consume all these resources through the mobile learning. So that's something that we've been working quite hard to just consistently improve over time. So that's my slides in very short, and I wanted to jump into the actual environment for you. Just give me a second. So this is just our standard demo environment. We have sort of specific few use cases here that we want to highlight. When I log in into the platform, so I will see my recommendations and my learning paths, and this always adapts based on the organization's configuration. What type of learning are we going to do? Are we going to focus on the learning experience platform functionally more, or are we running more programmatic courses? Who is the audience? And we actually support our customers through this empathy mapping process, really to define the personas and the learning journeys. And then that's driven into the configuration into the platform, and the platform adapts into that specific organization need without really doing any customization. So that's all built into the platform. So just wanted to highlight a couple of things here. I actually created this learning path for this session and this event. And in a very simple way, what is the benefit of having these content creation authoring tools as part of the platform? You can take your flat content and start improving that and increasing the experience into more digital learning content. So adding the interaction and things like that. So I just put these slides in place, and using our tools, I've embedded actually a video here, and I'm able to sort of watch different parts of the video. That's nothing sort of mind-blowing at this stage, but whenever we put any kind of content through the platform, I mentioned the data and the instrumentation. We are automatically instrumenting the content with the X API. We're instrumenting the delivery of the content that now it was consumed through a learning path. So if we jump into the analytics side and actually take a look at the raw data, how it looks like from the learning record store. So all that learning record store data is being stored, and even on a level that what parts of the video did I watch? So if I just started from the first 5 seconds and then I actually skipped, I'm able to see the different data stream from here. But that's not really meaningful for any managers or anybody else. That's not an X API connoisseur, if I will. But when we start looking actually at the analytics views that are based on all of that data, things like skills discovery, then things become very interesting. So we're able to surface things like employee skills data, any kind of skills gap information based on that X API data. Now that we've instrumented everything, all different functionality within the platform, this is incredibly valuable when you start adding these organization structures and you're able to filter then either based on skills categories or based on departments or any kind of organizational structure that you have modeled in the platform, you start to surface really meaningful insights that will then drive changes in the delivery of learning programs, even changes into the design of organization. And why I say that, if we look at skills history data, and this is now the timeline view in the skills velocity, for example, where we start to see that what are the really high functioning teams or high performing teams that are developing the skills really fast. And we can see that as a delta in the skills velocity. So we're able to identify from different parts of organization that are they actually developing right kind of skills? Are they adapting fast enough into this current situation of working? Or are they possibly struggling in certain areas where we need to go and improve the content that we're targeting to them in a different kind of way? So this is just an example of the data that we can then surface based on all of that instrumentation into the content and how people consume that content through the platform. But when we move into a little bit more advanced from there, and we have all that basic stuff here, like understanding adoption, understanding what's really important content that's driving engagement. But when we move beyond that and think about organizational behavior, big data, for example, we start combining performance data or outcome data from operations. Here we have and data combining actually from a tech team, a testing process into the analytics and looking at ability to estimate testing tasks in certain function of tech organization and their correlation with the training engagement and training outcomes. So we're able to bring in that external data into the platform and actually combine that with learning data and adding different facades or views into that. So we can look it through organization structure, we can look it from team structure, we can look it from focus skills areas, or however we have modeled the data structure in the platform. And when we really move past that and we start combining collaboration, we start combining communication data in an anonymized way, we're able to identify things like psychological safety, teams, energy exploration, engagement throughout different areas of programs, how they're working with other people, and how these teams are actually learning. So this is a graph-based view into specific teams in this learning platform that's combining essentially Teams-based communication data or Slack-based communication data. And you can imagine that while people are actually learning, it is not a necessarily individual process. I'm collaborating with my colleagues. If we are faced with a certain task and we need to deliver results, we are constantly trying to find the resources we need to actually solve those specific problems, to come up with a solution, to be able to deliver a certain outcome. So we need to be communicating with other people as well. And this is the benefit of working with the best organizations in the world that have this research mindset, that they want to really ask the questions that is, for example, high-performing team psychologically safe? Are we able to surface these indicators of psychological safety from this learning graph-based data and this communication-based data, or the communication sentiment, for example, or what are the resources people are engaging with at different parts of learning programs? So it moves far beyond from that consuming an engagement with short snippets of content in the much broader view, how the teams and organization actually performs. And this is something that gets me really excited when we start looking into things like this. And for example, right now there's big questions around skills and employment mobility, that do we have in other parts of the organization people with certain critical skills that we're looking to recruit from outside? There's always cost involved in hiring from outside. And if we can actually find these people inside the organization and they can connect with their passion, and they have the adaptability to learn new skills if they have certain skills gaps, or if we're able to put together teams in a certain way that the sum of their individual skills are actually more as part of this team, then we are at the sort of under fundamental questions, talking about fundamental questions into really big problems. So I went quite far into this analytics side, and I'm going to be talking actually tomorrow about total learning architecture, or TLA, and how this all builds into that. But at the same time, just wanted to show you actually moving back a little bit into the content creation offering. So now that we've connected all these external sources and we're able to create content from LinkedIn Learning, for example, and we can surface that through channels here, that we can see LinkedIn courses or Open Sesame courses or edX courses. Just provide the seamless experience that this is relevant for you. You're now part of this sort of program, working with this team in this problem, and you want to develop certain skills. So we're driving this recommendation based on a lot of different variables and attributes, and we make it really easy for people to find the content. But at the same time, organizations have their own critical content that you cannot find from anywhere else. And that needs to be really easy and seamless process, how you go and improve, curate it, and author that content into the platform. So that's why we built into the platform the Valamis Studio, which is very easy to use tool, which is producing full XAPI compliant content. You can just start by importing your flat content here, if you start from PDFs or PowerPoints, if that's your starting point, and then start improving through interactivity by adding more interactive videos, adding 3D models, adding questions or different kind of elements that you expect from content authoring tools. We can manage different language versions, and we can manage things like responsive design here. So we can design specifically for mobile experience to highlight that for mobile, you need to have different kind of imagery for different layouts and so forth. So we can manage all that very easily within the platform, and we have this tool available for all the employees. So when we go and work with very large organization, they get this tool to be used by everybody in the organization, and they benefit from things like templates and themes to produce higher quality experience. And now that you take this external content as a starting point and you start adding into learning paths, into these curated learning paths, your internal content, you contextualize that external content, what it means to your organization, to your employees at a specific learning moment at part of a certain learning journey. I wanted to highlight, I mentioned that the 3D models, and maybe I'll show it from, or maybe we'll just look it from here. We built this, well, this is not actually the right one. Let's look at the lessons really quickly. So this is where we see all the different lessons. So let's take a look at this Mars rover. So we just built a really simple VR demo, and we're able to bring data from full VR experience into the learning record store. But this is just showing a 3D model essentially as part of learning journey and learning path, where you're going to interact with this, and we're able to see the data about these interactions at the same time. So very simple example from this, but I think this is opening very interesting doors as part of the centralized learning platform, delivering a lot of different functionalities, but at the same time being very open to integrate with other parts of learning experiences like the VR, AR experiences that are coming up within the organization. Maybe finally, just to take a look at the different functionalities, I mentioned these events, and I actually scheduled this event into the platform and provided a link. So we're able to have the seamless combination of as many different types of learning activities that will be actually happening in your organization, all built into the same platform, that it just provides a consistent channel for all the employees to explore and experience these, which is really valuable, while delivering on the data consistency and data quality for the organization. Maybe it's a good place to actually pause. I think I'm running out of time at the same time, but I would be happy to take some of your questions in the end. As I said, I will be doing another session tomorrow, a little bit more diving into the architecture of total learning, into the total learning architecture and the data view on this. So I can see I have a couple of questions from Jay. I have a question that are we targeting only internal employees, or if there's a scenario for B2B? So we do both, and this platform is currently used in both scenarios, and we have very large scale environments, especially in the external side. We built things like e-commerce capabilities, so we have full e-commerce capability within the platform. Here you can see a short example on shopping cart functioning and payment gateways. But essentially, it is for organizations that look to deliver consistent digital learning experience for their external parties, or even sell that to consumers or their B2B parties through the platform. So we can deliver full-on MOOC courses, for example, through the platform. One example would be the Skolverket from Sweden. The Swedish government is training all their teachers throughout this country using our platform. Then there's another question from Keith, interested in the comments on performance. Have we considered how to gather data on learning transfer? We have, and especially the evaluation piece, that how can we demonstrate that certain person is able to perform at certain skill level is the age-old question. And then it almost goes back into the learning design, that how do we design evaluation in the best way that we can actually identify the deltas, that pre and post, before and after, essentially going through a learning experience, that how does that affect our behaviors and our ability to perform or deliver certain skills. But we have tools within the platforms to run formal assessments, or assessments that where you have to perform something in real life to demonstrate something, either to your team or your colleagues, or you run through a project where you actually get the experience. But it's then up to the almost L&D or somebody who's responsible for that evaluation process to say that if you completed this project or you completed this evaluation, then you're qualified to run, or you're qualified to run at a certain level of skill, if that makes sense. Maybe a final question. I think there will be a hard stop. Have franchises used the platform? They have. I think this would be a nice question to actually come back and answer, Alice, you specifically on this on a separate. I think we will run out of time really soon. Really appreciate your time and attention. Hopefully you'll have a great virtual session, and feel free to contact me, or we'll share our contact details, or ask any further questions if you want to find out more about Valamis and our platform that we built. Please stay safe and enjoy the event. Thank you.